Al Baaj, who joins me live now from The Hague. He's a senior advisor at the Syrian Forum, a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering Syrians. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. I first want to get your reaction, on everything that we've been seeing unfold over the last week, but particularly, now the appointment of Mohammad Al Bashir to lead this transitional government, seeing all this happen relatively quickly. What does this tell us about the future of Syria?
Thank you very much for hosting me and allow me to start by congratulating the Syrian people for this victory. Finally, we got rid of this dictator who has made the life of Syrians unbearable. Coming to the recent developments, it is definitely a step that is not fully in line with the transition that we were looking for or hoping for. Now, the situation is better for sure. However, we were hoping for more inclusive kind of transition that all Syrian, regardless of their affiliation, would be part of it. These steps perhaps is taken now internally and just temporarily, but we're still looking for a more inclusive full transition to take place.
Right. That's a very valid point. And that brings me to my next question, the role that the Syrian people are going to play in all of this. Millions of Syrians had fled their country. They live in different parts of the world now. What falls on their part moving forward? What is expected from the Syrian people worldwide?
The direct support for their families, for their other relatives, for everybody, for Syria in general. This is something that we have actually dedicated our life and time in order to reach this moment where we get rid of the dictatorship and move towards democracy, pluralistic political system, and representation of the other people. Now, what we are hoping for is that we reach the time where we can vote. And by voting, we can do the change or finalize the transition. However, the transitional period classically takes time. It needs these steps. We need to ensure stability first inside Syria. We need to have a full negotiations, inclusive national dialogue, which will bring all parties to the table, decide about the steps going to be taken. Are we going to elect a constitutional committee to basically draft a new constitution? Are we going to assign it? Then how long this time will take place? Do we need someone to make sure of the security of inside the country? Something like a military council, which have been an idea circulated around, half from the opposition, half from perhaps the regime, or even the defected officers that have left the army against the will of refusing to follow the orders of Bashar al-Assad back then. All these questions are there. What we hope for is as soon as possible, there would be this convene where people sit together, talk, negotiate, agree on the steps, and then start implementing it. Syria in dire situation. The economy is not doing very well. The steps that has been taken for now is good, but it is not enough. We have to move forward, and more Syrians has to be included in this transitional period.
Right, and civil institutions will also have a profound effect on easing that transition process to hopefully a democracy that we can see, shine in the future for Syria. But of course, as many experts have mentioned, justice and accountability also matters throughout this process as well. What's the prospects of that happening?
Thank you for that. I'm actually in La Haye and in The Hague because we're following on the Syrian Forum. One of the lines of advocacy that we've been working on is referring Syria to the ICC. This is one item only on a long agenda regarding the transitional justice. Transitional justice has to be also one of the things that Syrians agree on. It should be complementary between international tribunals and local national justice system, where it starts first and foremost looking for the truth, knowing the fate and the whereabouts of the missing people, holding the ones responsible for the gross human rights violations accountable, and finally, and hopefully, and this is what we are all looking for, bring Bashar al-Assad to court. He is the main one who has to be held accountable for all these atrocities. So for this to happen, we Syrian NGOs, especially the ones working on accountability or human rights, should have the space to be participating in this thing, either facilitating, helping in documentation, being on the ground. So what we hope now, and our call is that whatever transitional body would be now, or interim body would be now governing Syria, should allow us to be in, to work, to be active, and provide us with the protection, either with dialogue or through the activities that we can conduct on the ground. So transitional justice is a key element. Otherwise, unfortunately, whatever peace settlement eventually we could reach might be very fragile because this component is not there.
Okay. Danny Al Baaj, thank you so much for joining us there live from The Hague. It was an absolute pleasure hosting
Pleasure of
you
mine.
on
Thank you very much.
TRT World.